I'll just begin by introducing our panelists who have joined us already. The first and foremost is the deputy spokesperson of the Kampala Metropolitan area of the police, Afande Luke Owoyesigire. You're most welcome. Kindly say hello to our viewers.
Our viewers, I'm very glad to join this Zoom meeting this afternoon, and I hope it is going to be a fruit.
Okay, thank you very much. The second panelist is Council Micheal Aboneka. Council, we have seen your petition and your letter, and I guess that is why you have made it to this panel. Council, you're most welcome. Kindly introduce yourself and say hello to our viewers in case I've forgotten something.
All right, thank you very much for having me here. I'm sure you can hear me loud and clear. Hopefully we can get the promise of the internet that was promised to us in Kampala and the entire country, just to say good afternoon. And that these matters are matters that are serious and pertain to the life and the citizens of this country. Glad to have the rest of the panelists so that we can have this conversation and hopefully actions moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The third panelist is a seasoned journalist, Mr. Goodluck Musinguzi. He has been a panelist here before and joins us once again. Goodluck, you're most welcome. Kindly say hello to our viewers. All right, it looks like Goodluck is not responsive. Let us hear from Mr. Anderson Burora. Bwana Commissioner, you're most welcome. Kindly turn on the microphone.
Good afternoon. I'm called Musinguzi Goodluck. I'm a journalist. I'm happy to be.
All right, thank you, Mr. Goodluck. Let us hear from Mr. Anderson Burora. Bwana Commissioner, you're most welcome. Kindly say hello to our viewers. Then we shall be able to kickstart our conversation officially.
Yeah, good evening, everyone watching us and all the panelists. I hope we shall have a conversation that is fruitful. Kudos to you. Look, you have run away from me for a long time. Here I find you again.
Thank you very much, Bwana Commissioner. Let us begin right away with the person who at least I would refer to have more security detail and security expertise on this panel, and that is none other than Afande Luke the name is complicated, but yeah.
The name is Owoyesigire.
Yes, Afande Luke, kindly give us really what is happening, just a background, because I have seen Council Aboneka's petition, and it was really alleging on areas around, you know, the shortcomings of the areas around the availability of security lights within Kampala, the darkness around the Kampala interior.
Yeah, it is true. There is a challenge around Kampala Express Highway, and also many other highways we have in the country. And also even in Kampala itself, there is a big challenge about the street lights. So we all know that crime is a big challenge in our country, and the darkness itself makes it worse for us to combat crime. So we believe with the security lights installed along the highway, they will help even our cameras that are installed there to have better pictures whenever they capture some incidents happen. So we believe lights go a long way in reducing the crime rate within the country.
Yeah, Afande, thank you. But I'm glad that you do acknowledge the need for these security lights. But then what exactly is happening? Why aren't these lights in place? Because I am sure government has done the necessary maybe steps to ensure that these streets are lit. But what exactly is holding us back? Why aren't these streets of Kampala being lit? What exactly isn't happening? Is it the procurement process, or is it that government has actually not, been able to release the funds? What exactly could be happening?
I would want to put it on an issue of a procurement process. 2 years ago, we went on a run with KCC around Kampala, mapping out the so-called dark spots where there are no lights and a lot of crime happens. To our dismay, I would say up to now, many of those spots don't have lights. Although the new roads that are being renovated and that are coming out, they all have lights. But there are areas in Kampala and also on the highways that don't have lights, and they are within Kampala. So I believe it is something that the KCC should look into, and other government agencies like UNRWA, to make sure that lights are there. I would not categorically come out to speak on their behalf. Maybe they have much more reasons why such a system or such measures have not been put in place.
Bwana Commissioner Burora, let me come to you, because at least you served in the RCC. You served as RCC. Therefore, in your time of service, you addressed your mind to some of these challenges. Could you kindly maybe expand on to what Afande Luke has already put across? What exactly, in your own view, as someone who served as Deputy RCC within Kampala, what challenges did you face regarding security lights, and what do you think are the reasons as to why some of these streets continue not to be lit, even when, government says that they are having endeavors towards, putting security lights? So, Comrade Burora.
First of all, addressing this issue to Luke is what Uganda called Chiso Chambuzi. However, much of what is disturbing us is as a result sometimes of an oversight, whereby issues of lighting were not a priority, but roads. And in the procurement, using the available resources, planners concentrated on roads specifically, because you remember, or you may know, that it is a process. Some of these roads are constructed, and most especially in the Kampala roads are constructed, but most of them don't have reserves. Reserves are more of corridors of verandas of other buildings, or that enters into private properties. So that makes it hard sometimes to plan for the road. First of all, to negotiate for no compensation, you give away land for free in order to get access as possible for tarmacking, but then at the same time you need space for lighting. Now that becomes another issue, and I don't know, I have not personally discussed this matter with the KCCA, most especially in access roads. Government does not own those properties. They are owned by private individuals. Secondly, the culture of private owners saving electricity, or not even finding it fit for them to have security lights, which are enough actually to serve both the moving public and the private residences. So that is part of the reasons as to why these access roads have hardships in terms of having street lights, both from public and private provisions. The second issue is, similarly, it's the same. Like KCCA has a whole lot of issues to deal with. Untarmacked roads, maintenance, repeating like old roads, and their budgets. I'm speaking like in the KCCA because that is where I have been serving. The budget comes in bits. They will get money first for roads, then they will come later and seek for money for lighting, and then later come seek for money to do other things. It is also an impediment towards having most of these issues dealt with. But also in some cases, because the contractor is not the same as the service provider of street lightings, you find that the contractor finishes the design without placing the spaces for lighting. Because I think the planning before, they had different designs, but also demand comes differently. in these phases of road construction, I'll give you an issue of it's called Wamara Road, but it is this road that stretches from Bulange, goes through Rubaga to Masanafu, which is going to be constructed. Now, that road has an element of the public, but also an element of the private properties. Now, as of now, the issue, the public issue is one, the road, making the road. But you see, when you make a road, it comes with other contradiction, which is light. So what looking at what can solve this is for even when the public government cannot install its property or cannot invest on a property it does not own. For example, government cannot come and install a light stand in your compound, which is in a private residence, to serve a public good. Now that is a contradiction. And also, even if the public is to provide lighting, you realize that they will not provide enough works to supply the movements of other people. Someone will put like a small bulb, which is not fit for the road. And you realize also that is a challenge. We are discussing this using my experience, as you asked me, but I have not had enough time to discuss most of this personally, to discuss some of these matters with the, let me say, the physical planners and the engineering and the executive director who are solely responsible for that. Secondly, the other issue we've had when I was in Nakawa, I asked for this. The issue of lighting is an issue that comes in phases. Like every financial year, they request for a specific number of lighting. And this is at the discretion of the city hall for which to decide where to be installed. So you can see that some parts have street lighting, some parts of Kampala and some other parts of Kampala don't have these lighting. So the issue of budget constraints also determines. You all know that the Kampala budget was cut almost by, I think, 50%, if not 60, 50%. And that was the engineering budget. So if the engineering budget was cut and the demand is high, they will focus on priorities, and the priorities will be road construction or paving, which leaves out the other elements of lighting. So the issues are quite complex. They are complex, a little bit controversial in terms of financing, in terms of prioritization, but also in terms of implementation. It is not about procurement alone, but also availability of resources. You will not go and request for money to put lights on a specific road whereby there is high demand for specific drainage or a specific road that needs construction, and lighting alone takes some sums of money to put those lights, have them installed. So the challenges of darkness, most especially in Kampala roads, are a little bit complex based on that background of budget, but also ownership of land, and also who specifically should facilitate this. The public will not save you just 5 by 5 feet for you to install a street light. So those challenges are actually some of the reasons as to why there are double standards, or there are double standard discussions when it comes to installation of street lights.
Okay. Bwana Commissioner, thank you very much. You've given us a detailed background, and I gave you enough time so that we can really appreciate really the fundamental challenges. And I'm glad that you've endeavored to bring them out. But let me go to Comrade Goodluck. Goodluck, you are a seasoned journalist, and you people like you are supposed to be the eyes and ears of the public, because you have access to this information, and therefore you can always attempt to bring such information to the general public. What have you been able to cover as journalists regarding this particular matter?
I'm called Musinguzi Goodluck, a journalist based in Kampala. Discussing about this topic around 2017, when they had finished the express highway and was due for inauguration. I remember the deputy prime minister of China was coming, and he was going to be with President Museveni. I wrote a 2-page story in the New Vision with my other colleagues, and one of the things we tackled was the chain link. At that time, almost for 8 months, they would put a chain link along the express highway, and unknown people would come and cut it. Police had tried, but somehow they failed. But when we wrote and exposed this, there was an improvement. And I remember after the Kajans police station was able to arrest some individuals. But what is unfortunate is that today, when you go to the side of, I can't tell, but it's almost like a kilometer. It doesn't have a chain link. Even when you go inside on some spots, people have cut these chain links and they're able to enter. Now, when we go to lighting, of course, a huge project like that was going to be situated away from other people. That means we would not have homes which would be constructed near the express highway for them to light, like on these other highways we use in our country. So as the lawyer was saying, as counsel was saying, it was a big problem in terms of the design from the start, that those who failed to put the lights did a mistake. However, we have the Kampala lighting master plan, Kampala street lighting master plan. Today or a year ago, I don't know whether the statistics have improved, Kampala streets and Entebbe, the lighting was at 8%, only 8%. Now, the Kampala street lighting master plan is supposed to bring in around 20,000 lights on the high on these streets of ours, either Northern Bypass and all together. So 20,000. However, even when we have this master plan, there are voices that you hear saying either Kampala KCCA does not have the capacity to take in what they call uptake. So there are different funders, and the RCC would also, I think the council should find out, and I think they are under World Bank. We are supposed to be having massive lighting in Kampala. So indeed, it's the right of the people, the road users. When government put tax on fuel, one of the reasons was that they would be able to improve the infrastructure of roads. And where we are today, we see them operating less than 10%. And for me, this is an indictment to UNRWA, to Ministry of Works, and to KCCA mostly. My challenge with KCCA is that I see more politicking than working. The road mayor, the deputy road mayor, and the council, they have goodwill. Even when you go to these divisions, which are like districts, the people who head them have goodwill. They got votes, they were elected by people. So what is the point? I don't want to compare the Jennifer Musisi and the current ED, but I can tell you that the current ED must pull up her socks and her team, and they make sure that we do improve on uptake of projects. And one way lighting would improve. When you hear Afande Owoyesigire saying that they have also tried to engage and they would also see, I think they need to be more proactive as police. I remember one time when police, the traffic department, put their foot down as regards how KCCA was handling them. On that night, you remember there was a traffic gridlock that took hours. People returned home at 2 a.m. And from that time, people realized that KCCA cannot work alone. It must work with the police. Now, with this lighting, I think Owoyesigire, Fred and Anga, they have a big platform. Every week they are giving these reports on crime. I wish they can put lights on the agenda all the time so that we can see KCCA being pushed, because the problem is not the money. The money is there, but year in, year out, the projects are not moving. So other countries, when you see them, the way they are uptaking their projects in terms of implementation, because now remember, if we have not allowed somebody to start operating, then you know we have another problem that we will take many months, if it's not years, to finish a simple project. So for me, I think my problem as a journalist is that we must push the leadership at KCCA. There is goodwill from government, there is goodwill from the donors, but for some reasons, you don't know the people at KCCA what they are doing, what preoccupies them. And for me, I would also ask the RCCs, the new and the old ones who are there, they must also be part of setting the agenda. That they cannot keep seeing people being killed on these highways, or us losing people and we keep quiet. And lastly on this is that I saw in the company that was given a contract to run the express highway has a component of lighting. As to when and how they start, that can be a problem. But clearly the ED, Allen Kajina, indicated it. If you go even on her social media, you easily find it that one of the issues to be handled is lighting. Thank you.
Council Michael, some of us have seen your petition to government, but for the benefit of those who have not had the chance to look at your particular petition and your document, let me first of all give you a chance to explain what exactly you are trying to express in your letter for the benefit of our viewers. Then from there, I can have a follow-up question for you. So Council, let's speak about your petition and your document to the minister. Just explain to us what exactly you are trying to put across and what you intended to achieve in that document.
Thank you, Comrade Kidega and other colleagues, Bwana RCC and Bwana for those good opening statements. Just to start with, the background of this petition or outcry is that it is the state's responsibility to protect its citizens and their wealth. And it is also the state's sole responsibility to make wealth for its citizens. Now, if the citizens and their wealth is not secured, then the government would have fetched water in a basket. So it is from that vein that we are discussing the issues of street lights. I have been making this demand since a year ago, and I never received any response. And that's one of the biggest problems we have in this country, is about level of responsiveness. That many requests are made, many outcries are out there, but do we ever get a response? Even to say, oh, we've received your complaint, we're going to work on it. So I think for me, that's the biggest challenge we have in this country, that the rate at which The demands and response, you can't even put them on a weighing scale. So that is one of the biggest problems. So I am saying that UNRWA, Minister of Works, and the rest of the agencies are mandated under law, by the way, to provide lights on these roads. So why don't we have lights? The Kampala Express Highway, they call it the Kampala Entebbe Expressway, is one of the expensive roads, for about $400 million spent. And we have so far collected over 25 billion shillings in road toll. We pay road tolls every day, but there are no lights. And the question is was it a design error? Which again gets into planning. So I'm questioning, was it a design error? I did research and I didn't see anything like lights, in that design. So the question is it by accident? And you know that even the interchanges also don't have lights, whether it is at Kigezi and the rest. So we can't have such an expensive road, very good infrastructure, but no lights. The other point is, I've not seen police patrol cars. The other day, Afande Hassan Kasinje was raising the point that they were forcing police patrols to also pay road toll. And I find that very unfortunate, that you're asking government to pay road toll to protect its citizens. Simple. Can we approve 4 patrol cars that are registered, so that we don't have to get wanton abuse of the road express highway, and register them, and they work in shifts, 2 during the day and 2 during the night, and they can always update the process. I can guarantee you there is no security on that road. The only patrol I see is the one of UNRWA, just moving up and down, helping people whose cars are broken down. That's not security. It is just like an escort service. So I'm also looking into that. But beyond that, the Kampala, the northern bypass itself does not have lights. And remember that this road has been done in 2 phases. And the question is it also by design, or a design error? We forgot about them. You can't have such long stretch, and you're saying you don't have lights, and you're saying the lights are on at interchanges. Pedestrians, most road users are actually using the Kampala Northern Bypass. The guys who go to Namungona, wherever that road takes people, Nasana, people walk from town to go back to their places using the Kampala Northern Bypass. And I can tell you, and look, I will cross-check this with you, there's a number of robberies, a lot of criminality that has been registered on the Kampala Express Highway, including those in the cars being attacked. As a person, I have a number of cases of individuals who were actually hacked 4 times, 5 times. And you know what? They can sustain an action against the state because the state is supposed to protect them. I don't like things in this country where we live in a begging mode. How can police beg that us have lights? How can the police beg that I should not pay road toll? I think it's unfortunate. The other thing is, Comrade Kidega, is I was asking who is responsible. Under Section 6 of the UNRWA Act, the UNRWA is supposed to advise the minister on all these issues and all these designs. And I don't know, at what stage do they advise? Comrade Anderson talks about budgeting and etc. But you see, progressive realization of rights is that you look at what, you can't do one. You say, let's fulfill one. Once we are done with that, we go to the other one. At times, you have to handle them as they are. This is a matter of urgency. If we are to list down, and I found look, I want to work with you, we get the data, because I have some of the people who have faced criminality on those roads. I can guarantee you that it is a worrying number. And I have some who even want to take an action to government. But I'm like, let's wait a bit, let's engage. Because I also believe in meaningful engagement. But what do you do? Up to now, the minister has never responded to my letter. UNRWA responded to letters through just media, engagement. Probably I had a talk show with the spokesperson of UNRWA, but I've not received a formal reply. You mean a government can't reply to its citizen that pays tax to just write and say, we have acknowledged your petition, and therefore we are going to work on it. Like the saying is, what do you want us to do? And in that letter, we say, we have planned and we have all lawful means to take on this. And you see, I'll be happy to have this conversation on the table. Say, okay, look here, the issues of resources, but can they even first acknowledge that they have received this letter? There are many times I've written to them on Twitter, etc. They don't even respond. They don't even do anything. So that's why I wrote them an official letter. Of course, they acknowledged, and me, I'm waiting because
But council,
yes.
with all due fairness, if government were to respond to each and every single citizen's letter or tweet or maybe WhatsApp post, would we have anything going on in this country? With all,
but that's why they are government. You see, they are accountable to their citizens. How many citizens in this country have written about the street lights? How many? How many letters are piled on the minister's cabinet of incoming tray? This is a matter that is urgent. Taxpayers are going to pay for this loan. And then you take things as if, it is luxury. The point I'm making, Kidega, comrade, is that a government must be accountable. At least listen to me and tell me, yes,
but
I've received
council,
your issue. Yeah, I've received your issue and we are going to work on it. That's what engagement means.
Council, could the issue be on approach? Because even Parliament is an arm of government. So, and you as Council, Michael, you have someone who represents you in that Parliament. So, did you think of maybe giving your views to your member of Parliament, and therefore these views of yours can be presented before the floors of Parliament, and therefore government can take, action at that level, or you want government to respond to your letter individually? So, do you think maybe your approach could have been shortcoming, and you should have tried to maybe use your member of Parliament who represents you in Parliament, and therefore your issue is stable of that house, but then a combined whatever resolution is taken, and not just individual responses? I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we overwhelm Parliament. Parliament has 3 roles: appropriation, oversight, and legislation. The law is clear. They made the law. The mandates are clear. Who is supposed to fix lights? Who is supposed to make roads? We can't reduce Parliament to service delivery, that a borehole has broken. Therefore, Parliament should be discussing a broken borehole, yet the institutions that are there. So that's why I don't want to overwhelm Parliament. I understand clearly the roles of Parliament. The Parliament put in place an act. The Parliament gives money to UNRWA. The Parliament gives money to the works. The Parliament is supposed to run an oversight function. Here I am saying, I would go to Parliament if I fail to get a response from the minister or to court. You get what I'm saying? That I am a citizen who understands what Parliament should look like, and not being reduced into an LC, into a council issue. For example, I am coming to Anderson because in Tindatu Road, I know it's not taking that area, in Tindatu Road, Wamara Road, all those KCCA roads that don't have lights, we shall discuss at the KCCA level. But these are national roads that are actually taking a bunch of our money. So I don't want to overwhelm Parliament that, we are raising a matter of national importance when the people who are supposed to do the job are actually, there and they're supposed to do their job. So it's not because, and actually this approach is even the best. I am doing simply meaningful engagement. I have written a letter and asking, can we have lights or can we have discussions about it? You go and do a poll. I want Musinguzi or every one of us to go and do a poll, just on Twitter or anywhere, about street lights. Afande Luke has told you, even the cameras are not working. They can't work in darkness. We spent billions of money in the CCTV system, but again, there are no street lights. So how do we balance priorities? We need to have planning that is all encompassing. Planning ahead. You can't do a road and later say, oh, realize we have no lights. So I think that it's not pushing government too much. There are even pressing issues. But if a government can't even fix a lamp, will they fix a hospital bed? So we shouldn't give a lot of work to Parliament. Parliament has to do the 3 functions. We shouldn't reduce Parliament into a handling mechanism. So that's how I think about this issue. And I'm just asking, okay, can we have a response? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that submission, Council Michael. Let us hear from our veteran journalist, Mr. Goodluck. Your network earlier on was breaking and not quite sufficient for us to get you clearly. Hope now it is better, and therefore you can give us your own submission. And my question to you was that as a journalist, you're supposed to play the role of being an eye and ear to the public. And what story have you covered exactly regarding the issue of traffic lights? So sorry, the issue of the lights on the streets of Kampala. And do you agree with what our comrades here are saying, that issues around procurement and things like that have played a big role towards install this particular project? So, Mr. Livingston. Okay, we have again lost Mr. Goodluck. Let me come to you, Bwana Commissioner. Commissioner, if you listen to Council Michael very carefully, Michael clearly put an indictment on government that, Article 1 of the Constitution and the other articles of our Constitution really move around the social contract between government and its people. Really, most articles are enshrined on the principle of the people and state relationship. And Council here says that government failing to offer security to its citizens is government failing to meet its end of the bargain in terms of fulfilling the social contract. So as someone who has worked or who still works with government, do you agree that your failure to provide security to the people of Kampala regarding the areas around security lights is an indictment or a failure on your side to meet your end of the bargain regarding the social contract you have with the people of Uganda?
Thank you, Kidega. Yes, whereas the council is right about the claims he's talking about, but also the government works within the means possible. His submission seems to allege that all roads in Kampala don't have street lights. If you look at some new roads that are being constructed, if you go to Naguru, Spear Naguru Road, that road has lights all the way through. If you go to John Laliha Road, it has lights all the way through. If you go to majorly all the new roads have street lights. And it is because those roads have no other challenges, other extensional challenges, like the issue of land acquisition and the space for lighting. His concern of not being responded to is a valid reason, but certainly some questions are answered in the public. One of the answers you may need or you may have not known, I am speaking to you, maybe UNRWA might have not given you the answers, or KCCA might have not given you the answers. I am here giving you the answers, and I think you should take it in good faith. Sometimes certain things are hard to communicate or even to implement. If you are demanding UNRWA, or let me say KCCA, for a road whose monies were not appropriated by Parliament, I think there, the side is telling you don't have that money or didn't get that budget, still goes back to Parliament. I think what we need to look at is how do we address these challenges in the future not to happen? How do we mitigate the issue of negotiating with private property owners? Now, so the challenges are actually cross-cutting, and the council's concerns really are valid, and they need to be responded to. But sometimes there are things you just don't respond to. You just don't write letters and you throw them around. They go flying. Sometimes response requires, discussion and the consent of the institution. It is not about me being in office that I will go on around writing and speaking for the way I want. Someone asks me, I answer for. Some commitments are institutional commitments. And by the time the institution commits to make a decision, it is as a result that they think it is fit for the public. Now, we have had issues to deal with information sharing and dissemination. You write this information as you need it for your satisfaction, but it ends up for public discussion, whereby it was not necessary. I am speaking from an honest point of view, that whereas one would be fit to give you this information, you will not be able to protect this information as it was, because it was given to you, an individual, and not to the public. So sometimes institutions to commit to respond to certain issues, it is as a result that they have agreed that it has nothing, or it cannot endanger, or it will not bring about conspiracies and public discussions that the institution is not ready for. The other issue, yes, I agree, the government is there to protect. I think the government has done its best to protect. Yes, the government is there to provide, and I think whatever is needs has been provided for and protected. The challenge is that there is not enough. The government is meant to curb. We are talking about Kampala. Government's role and responsibility is national. Whereas you're looking for a street light in Kampala, somewhere else one is looking for even a drip of water, a drip of clean, safe water. So our demands should be considerate. Our demands should be commensurate with the challenges we have as a country, not what is within my proximity. We can use equitably what we have as now as we expand to what is needed by the general public. I agree with you that the issues on the northern bypass are cross-cutting, but you see the nature of a northern bypass and the way it was planned for motorists, not pedestrians. Now, if the issue comes now, we have to mitigate what was not planned for. That is where we overstretch, misuse of what has been not planned for. A pedestrian who uses the road northern bypass in an odd hour, even if you have lights, it may not solve that issue. We have had cases of pickpocketing that happens in broad daylight. We have had the issues of crimes happening in broad daylight, even where the population is vigilant. So we cannot have enough to control the hearts and acts of individuals. Cancel that can never happen. Even if you provide security lights by nature of the northern bypass, and you misuse or you use the road wrongly, you may not roll out the issue of a crime or anything happening against you. And I think that is for a fact that we must agree that that is how it is. Even if we put lights there, it may not solve the issue. But it does not mean that we don't need the lights there. We need them for a clear view, for an extensive view. But also, I'm here writing a proposal. I wish I can share with you. It's not that I am sharing something. I am here writing a proposal. I hope my camera allows. Yes, I am writing a proposal. This is a proposal I am writing to beautify, to create public recreations and the rest and the likes. So don't think that people are seated. We are looking at adding value. We are looking at adding value. Lighting adds value to the road. It's not about the safety, but it adds value and beauty to the road to bring out that extras that are not being visible now. That road, if it is well lit, if one of the precious moments you can never wish to have is when you are flying over Dubai in the night, not during the day, but in the night. Why? Because of the long stretches of roads that are well lit, that welcome you to Dubai, then as you enter the city. The beauty that adds to it actually makes you feel love and also feel like, yeah, I'm entering into a modern country. So the issue is not addressing the issue of crime alone, but also the issue is adding beauty to the country, but also adding value to the place where you have constructed the road. So there are so many advantages of lighting besides crime, if you didn't know. That roads also need beauty, roads also need extras, roads also need ABCD. The issue of procurement, you may not roll it out. You will go to KCCA and ask for the lighting for which they did not receive the money for. And what will it address? If I was given money to construct the road, but without the extras. But I told you that the engineering department of KCCA, which involves construction, drainages, what and what budget, was cut by almost 60%. It is at 40%. That means if it is at 40%, you are going to go for priorities. Now we can choose to say that we can, smear ourselves jelly without showering and we look better, or we shower first. Then if we don't, what do we need? Do we need to look better when we are actually clean, or we need to clean and look better? If we can say we provide for security lights, or security lighting, without roads, you just go to any road because there is an insecurity and install lights. That is it. That is another thing. Or we can set the phasing. I told you that but you chose to ignore it. The phasing of saying we can do the road first because it is on high demand. Then we can come later due to budget constraints and construct the light. I've given you the new designs of the roads that are being constructed now. All of them have light. The roads that I'm talking now in terms of KCCA, but even when I took the initiative to ask UNRWA about the road, if you can go, it's unfortunate you don't have, but I even put my status on WhatsApp, have a picture with UNRWA on ground, trying to mitigate some of these challenges. So, sir, in as much as you are concerned about these things, even some of us who are in offices, we are trying to address aggressively, by the way, these issues to make sure that they are answered, to make sure that we are also concerned as stakeholders. It is not about the public alone, but also us as stakeholders. We are concerned and we are dealing in these issues to make sure that we advocate and make sure also that there is an implementation plan put in consideration because everyone is pushing for it.
Afande, look, I was coming to you, and my concern to you was that the role of police is to entirely maintain law and order. From what Council Michael has put across is that there's actually anarchy on that stretch of where there are not clear lighting. There's anarchy. There is unrest. People are hurting one another. So meaning the police is actually failing in terms of providing law and order. So really, these are serious indictments against the force. What do you have to really say about this?
First of all, responding to Council Aboneka's issue, I categorically put it that we have cameras in place, but for them to be able to have better pictures displayed, the lighting also plays a bigger part. I didn't say that our cameras don't work because there are no lights. I only put it out there that if the lighting was good, the cameras can bring out a better part other than a black and white picture it will bring out when there are no lights. So I want to categorically put it like that. Then the issue of the insecurity, it is true. This is, we are in a country where we have free media. The stories have been aired on TV, they're all over social media. And the social media impact on its own has brought us some of these kinds of criminal activities that have been happening along the northern bypass. Of course, looking into all of it, when we assessed as the security teams, the northern bypass stretch, leave alone the express highway, because like Council Aboneka put it out there, we entirely don't have much responsibility on the routes, apart from the flyovers that go above the road. We realized that the fact that the road had no lighting also increased the kinds of crimes that were happening in the area. And we put it up to UNRWA and other relevant agencies. And I would want to put it out there that the intersections for now have started getting lighting. We used to have a lot of crime at the Naria intersection, at the flyover in Kamocha. Although there is no light currently, but we believe with time it will be worked on. And I confirm with my colleague Aboneka that yes, the lack of lighting, this is not something we should hide. This is something that we have seated down as officers in the police, as management in KMP, and realized that the lack of lighting is increasing certain types of crimes because they are easily done in the dark. I do accept the argument brought up by Burora that the crimes also happen during the day, yes. But if you're to look at the percentage of crimes that happen during the day and in the dark, you cannot compare the two. So we all believe that if we get the lights put in those intersections, especially the places along that road we call black spots, the flyover of Nigeria, the flyover of Kamocha, where we believe that happened, such crimes will happen again. Rather than saying that lights are not the only reason that government should concentrate on. Yes, government has a lot of projects, has a lot of priorities, but we believe security is the biggest priority of this government. And if lights can help reduce the types of crimes that are happening along that stretch, let them be put there. And at the end of the day, these officers will also don't have an excuse that this crime is happening because of the darkness. Our topic basically today is to talk about the crime that is happening along the northern bypass and the express highway. I might not entirely come out to speak for the still happening. We have made sure that our officers are deployed at those hotspots. But at the end of the day, let's assume that there has been a need for manpower and we withdraw some of those forces. The criminals might take advantage of this because the spots are really, really dark. So I think lights are really necessary if it can be worked on ASAP. It will help all of us. And if you're to go down there, like one of us, like Aboneka said, that you made the poll, you will realize that a lot of people will give the cause of insecurity on the bypass because we see this and we engage them in community policy channels, and we see the reason they give is darkness. And part of the target hardening measures we have in place in communities, in neighborhood watch systems, is to put on lights, security lights where we stay, something that we believe deter criminals from encroaching on unsuspecting publics. So at the end of the day, I think lights are very important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Goodluck, we haven't had the chance to listen from you. I can see your hand is up. Let me hope your network is okay. I am sure you had my question already in the past instance. Let me just give you a chance to say something. All right. Clearly, it looks like Goodluck is having issues with his network. Council Michael Aboneka, let me come back to you. You've heard what our two colleagues have, put in their, I don't say defense, but in their justification around the issues affecting, this whole insecurity and this whole, traffic lights issue. And they seem to put most of it on rather factors that are out of their control, factors around procurement, factors around, bureaucracy and things like that. So do you think that citizens should be more patient and give government maybe some more time to address some of these challenges around maybe procurement, and therefore give them enough time to to do service delivery, or we should continue to press hard on and demand for these services, on a timely basis, because after all, it is a social contract that we are trying to see that is reached to its end of the bargain.
Thank you, Comrade Kidega, and thank you, Anderson and Afande. And just to say that, if I'm summarize the debate, we all agree that we need the lights, and I agree with the submissions of Afande. And Afande knows we've always been engaging, together on these issues, and the issues about security starts with us. So you see, when you tell citizens that security starts with you, that put a security light in your compound, but immediately they step out of their compound, it is dark. It may not make sense. And I agree, Anderson, that these things may not happen in a nightfall, but it's called progressive realization. Let's see what we are able to do and what we are able to pause. And the thing about prioritization, the Kampala Northern Bypass is a very good road. It now looks good, but without light. And again, the lights are not just for the road users, the pedestrians. The motorists need them. Because there are no lights, people are going to drive in full beam, and it's going to cause trouble. So it's not just about, the road users that they should not use, and they have not been banned. With fuel prices, we have to be a little bit concerned with fuel prices and the rest. You can't force people that you must get into a taxi. If someone can't afford, I'm going to chase them away from the road. After all, they're not banned. It's only the Kampala expressway that only vehicles are allowed. So I think that we agree in principle that we need lights. And the reason I'm talking about these two is that there's been common pattern of criminality on these roads, and yet they seem to be the newest. Again, Anderson's point. And Anderson, yes, I actually appreciate the work KCC is doing. For example, I don't know if you've had the communication from KCC about the yellow box at the junction. They're trying to explain why that yellow box exists. If you realize that most of the junctions, they have put the yellow box and they're trying to tell people stay out of it. Now, if that communication wasn't given by KCCA, we wouldn't know. So it's the same thing that Anderson, those are very good plans. They're out there. But you see, an accountable government is one that gives people information. And when I say I need response, I don't need response to say we are fixing it tomorrow. Just write back and say, we are aware this is a very good concern for citizens. Go to the government media center, go to the government interaction citizen center and say, this is what we are working on based on the issues that you raised. And no one will penalize them. It's not just a commitment we need, but that's a response that we understand your concerns and that these are the steps we have taken, especially for the Kampala Express Highway. I'm told, they have done procurement and etc. Of course, there are issues for me on the number of stands and the height of the poles vis-a-vis the meters. I've done research on this and I have a team of engineers that we are discussing these things. The other point is that how do we deal this thing in future is that planning has to be done properly. If you're procuring a road, and today we've been discussing with colleagues that a place like in Tinda, I don't know whether it will ever forgive people who work on the roads. They put stomach, then tomorrow people are digging the road. Then others come, they're passing fiber. Can't we plan, Anderson, in your proposal, I'll list you and we discuss these things. Dig a trench underground, whoever wants to use fiber or whatever, they hire from you. And then that's revenue to KCCA. Those are things that smart cities do. Anderson, the fountain that was put below a total charge, I don't even think there is even a motor or any machine left. But we spent billions of money. But did we think about the protection about the fountain? Thank you very much for the parks. I've been asking, do we have any green park? Like in this town, Kampala, where someone says, let me go and rest in this park. Where can someone go and say, let me rest in the park and have our children? We must enjoy Kampala. Uganda is not bleeding. Uganda is not at fire. But where can we rejoice? Where can we go and be happy? If there are no lights, if there are no parks, what do you want Ugandans to say? I think we need to have a brutal, honest conversation, but I agree. Resource envelopes, again, it's about prioritization of needs. And I am saying this is very urgent because we cannot say that you wait until we fix maybe the Kayunga Road with lights, then we can come back to you. No, it's urgent. A government takes tough decisions and says, okay, well, let's have lights because it is urgent for citizens. And see, that northern bypass is a very important network for this country. You don't know how much traffic it has solved. But if it's becoming a death trap and it is becoming insecure, then you wouldn't have solved the issue. So I think that we agree in principle, and that's my approach, that we can have meaningful engagement. But as long as the other party is not willing to give you information and engage you, then it can't be meaningful engagement. But I am happy that as KCC, you have these plans, and I appreciate very nice roads in Tinder to stretch, especially the new ones have. The other day, I had to speak to UNRWA to tell them, by the way, the lights at Chisasi interchange are not working. Now they are working. So did we have to first tell them? And I think that's the point, Comrade Kidega, that can't someone who is working on these issues, first of all, the contractors, they are mandated, they are supposed to work with communities, give information, apart from the posters they put of aid skills. What other information do they give us about these roads? So I think it is important that we have an interaction. Just like now, people, and I don't and understand, you can take this as feedback. Apart from me sharing on my WhatsApp, on my Twitter, telling people what those boxes mean, I don't think anyone has explained to people that these yellow boxes at junctions mean this. Now, tomorrow when Afande and these colleagues, the traffic police, arrest a Boda Boda guy who is within the yellow junction box, he has no idea. So I think instead of overwhelming the police with people, express penalties, let's help each other. And some of us, actually, we are here, we pass on information for free, we are not paid by anyone, because we want a harmonious living, we want a smart city. Flyovers are going to come. The one that they are constructing, the flyover, I hope that one has lights. So we need to have a progressive way of looking at things in terms of planning. And I agree with Afande Look that, and by I agree with you that the lighting will improve the CCTV and not vice versa. I agree with you that the lighting will improve the images and we should be able to that sorted. So by and large, we agree, but I don't want us to, go into the blame game of, we don't have money, but we have money for this. We have money to give people vehicles. We have money to do the rest, but we don't have money to fix lights. And I want this to be taken seriously and urgently. This is Kampala, the capital of Uganda. People arrive at Entebbe Airport. They drive up to Busega, darkness. They are driving to their hotel, darkness. What image shall we give out there? So this is why I'm saying it is urgent, and we can deal with the rest slowly.
I wanted to say something as Kampala ascent. I don't know whether in a year's time they have improved to be maybe at 10%, but their projects, so Michael Aboneka, if you try to look at the Kampala street lighting master plan, I was saying the percentage of street lighting in Kampala, and
I had asked you to give us your concluding remarks just in 90 seconds. Then we can call this an episode. So Council, maybe I'll begin with you. You have 90 seconds, then I'll go to Commissioner, then I'll conclude with Afande.
Thank you, and colleagues. We love this country. This country belongs to all of us. No one has a monopoly over this country. So let's work for the good of our country and for our posterity. And all these things we do are because we love our country, and that we shouldn't be bastardized, victimized, for speaking out. Let's work together because we can only live in a smart city that is, not free from criminality, but at least is reduced. So let's have the lights, and then we can discuss the goats later. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, such discussions are good for sharing ideas and maybe raising what is within our communities. I acknowledge that there is somehow a gap between service providers and the community. But also, we should agree that whatever is being reasoned from the public is valid, and the government is doing its best to address those challenges. It may not be in real time, it may not be as and when we wish, but we have seen over time that what has been a concern in the past has been addressed, and it's not the case before as it ought to be. So we should also appreciate the efforts that have been done by government. Yes, it is its role, and it's supposed to do that. But we should agree that at some point, what was an issue yesterday is not an issue today. And what is an issue today is being worked on. And eventually, all these things will be worked on. But we also should consider that every day there is a new need. Every day there is a new demand. Every day something comes up, and we cannot do it all at the same time. I thank you all guys, Rook, Aboneka, and the other colleague of ours who kept disappearing. It was good having a platform with you this evening.
Yes, thank you very much, Commissioner. Let us have Afande give us his last words. Afande, you have the last opportunity on the show.
Thank you very much, my fellow panelists and Comrade Kidega, for this wonderful show. I'm happy to have been a part of this very good discussion. I believe such discussions, like Comrade Burora said, can pave the future of what is being planned in the country at large. And I'm very happy that many of our views that have been aired are some things that I believe government is really working on. It might take some delays, but hopefully very soon there will be changes.
To all our panelists, thank you very much. Comrade Afande, Comrade Commissioner, Comrade, thank you very much for the time. Our viewers, thank you very much for sparing the time for being with us. Until next week, see you once again. Bye-bye.